Hello and welcome back to another video on this series on the problem of evil. Today I'm going to be raising the last theodicy of this series, namely the cosmic conflict theodicy. Well, the theodicy is actually named the Theodicy of Love by Peckham, who's the one who raises the theodicy in this book, The Theodicy of Love by John Peckham, which is really a nice read, so if you want to read it, make sure you check it out in the link below. I would like to say that since I want to make it a bit different from the Theodicy of Love that I raised in my previous video, the second Dostoevskian theodicy, card up for that video, I would just call it the cosmic conflict theodicy because this theodicy is very dependent on the idea of cosmic conflict and free will. So essentially what I would like to be doing in this video is to discuss a few things. First of all, I'll talk about what this theodicy is. Secondly, I'll discuss is it plausible? And finally, how we can apply it to our lives or use it to respond to an atheist. So let's get started to talk about what it is. The theodicy of cosmic conflict, like the name suggests, appeals or turns towards existence of other supernatural beings. Instead of stating that God is the only supernatural being to exist, the cosmic conflict theodicy, as the name suggests that there's a wide range of different angelic and cosmic or metaphysical beings which also exist in a metaphysical or supernatural realm, and it is a turn towards the existence of these conflicts or these discussions between these supernatural beings which leads to a lot of the suffering in this world. And at face value you might think, well, I'm just turning towards polytheism, the idea that there are multiple gods, but I would like to draw a very clear distinction here. In this cosmic conflict theodicy, we still only have one God, but it's just the fact that God created a host of angelic beings. And I will refer to these supernatural beings as angelic beings for the rest of the video. So essentially, these angelic beings are angels and demons. These angelic beings either serve God or have rebelled against God during the fall. And what the theodicy of cosmic conflict is trying to say is that a lot of the suffering in this world are a result of the existence of these cosmic angelic beings who are fiddling or playing around with how the world works. And this is kind of supported, and let's turn to the second question, well, how is this supported? Is that this is supported by biblical teachings which suggests that we are currently living in a very spiritual world filled with spiritual warfare. A good example of this, of the existence of angelic beings, would be like the Prince of Persia as raised in Daniel 10, where it says that God's messenger was trying to get a word to Daniel but was delayed by the Prince of Persia until Michael came to help him out. And some people like to say, well, this is a metaphorical representation. I disagree here, and I think that there's an actual Prince of Persia who's kind of like a name or a title for an actual demon or a devil or another angelic being who fought against or tried to delay God's messenger. And it's this acceptance of these angelic beings which allows us to seem to understand why some evil exists in the world. Now you might say, well, how powerful is this theodicy? I think it is quite a powerful theodicy. The reason for this is that if we can accept the existence of God, which a problem of evil does do in order to demonstrate that the existence of God and evil is incompatible, we can see that at first it at least defeats the logical problem of evil, because it says that, well, now there are cosmic beings which are responsible for the evil in this world, in the sense that, well, instead of now pointing towards God as a source of this evil, as Epicurus might do and say, well, there's evil and, well, now God, why doesn't God get rid of it? What the cosmic conflict theodicy is saying is that, well, this evil is not a result of God, but instead it's a result of these angelic beings. And as a logical problem, it does seem to resolve the problem of evil, because now it's no longer a contradiction between God and evil, but it's the fact that it's these angelic beings which are causing evil. And you might say, well, why doesn't God just get rid of this evil? But in response to this, we could bring in this free will theodicy, and not only have it apply to humans, but also apply to these angelic beings. These angelic beings have the free will to choose whether or not to follow God. So then, now we can have the angelic beings freely choosing to rebel against God and causing mayhem on earth. And you may say, well, this is not very plausible. There's not much scientific or good reasoning to believe in the existence of all these angelic beings. But then in response to that, you could say, well, if God exists, on the assumption that God exists, is it seriously inexplicable or not expected for there to be other angelic beings? For example, if God didn't exist, I mean, of course, if God doesn't exist, then there's perhaps no reason to believe in other of these angelic beings. However, since God exists, it's not unreasonable to believe in the angelic beings, and since it seems that the biblical message does seem to point towards the existence of these angelic beings, it does seem to support this hypothesis that there actually are angelic beings at work here. There's a spiritual realm at work. And you may say, well, is this circular reasoning? Am I just presupposing that God exists because the Bible says so, and, well, why is the Bible trustworthy? Well, because God exists. No, I'm not using this reasoning. Instead, I'm accepting, or I'm granting the atheist assumption that God exists in order to prove that, well, God does not exist via the problem of evil, because if the atheist does not believe that God exists, then there's nothing for evil to be contradictory for. Because first of all, the problem of evil is basically an atheist accepting the Christian hypothesis to say that there's something wrong with the Christian hypothesis. So I hope this quick summary of the theodicy of cosmic conflict does help you work in your arguments or discussions with an atheist. As a quick summary, the cosmic conflict theodicy basically says, well, there are angelic beings which do cause the evil in this world. And since there's angelic beings causing the evil in this world, we have a good explanation for why there's evil. And with our understanding that angelic beings, like humans, have free will, we can solve the problem of evil. So I do understand that this summary video of the cosmic conflict theodicy is very brief and is not a complete understanding of the cosmic conflict theodicy. So if you want to know more about it, make sure you check out, once again, I'll direct you to this book, which I'll have in the link below. You can go buy that on Book Depository or any other book buying sources. You could go check that out. And before I end this video, I would like to give you a quick update of what I'll be doing next, because this is indeed the last video of this series on the problem of evil, though I do want to, or I might just cover this series later on in the future. However, right now, what I plan to do in the next part of this series is next part of this channel is to talk about the nature of the infinity, because I've just finished doing some research and reading on the infinity, so I think it'll be quite neat or quite nice for me to do a summary of my research, so you could also understand, well, what is the best philosophical or mathematical approach to the nature of the infinity, and how do we apply that to our knowledge of God or to our knowledge of humans, or the universe, I should say. So that said, in the next video, what I would like to do is to respond to some comments about my evolutionary argument against naturalism that I raised in my video of 4 lies that atheists tell Christians. I wasn't expecting that many atheist comments, but, you know, if you look at the atheist comment section, and I'm not saying this is just because they're atheists, but a lot of them were quite annoyed or quite angry, and they're like, oh, you don't know science and stuff like that. So, well, I will hopefully demonstrate in the next video that I do know a bit of science and I do know a bit of evolution, and I'll further strengthen my evolutionary argument against naturalism, because I think a lot of clarification over that argument that I briefly raised is needed. So if you're looking forward to that, or you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. It means a lot to me and helps this channel grow a lot. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon. Have a great week. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.